So a very good afternoon to all of you, and thank you for joining us for the second workshop today as part of our Learning Festival, brought to you by Crimson Education in collaboration with the JGI Jain Group of Institutions, Jain International Residential School, Bangalore, and the Crimson Anisha Global Schools in Pune. Today, we have a very eminent educationist, a thought leader, here with us this afternoon to share his thoughts on this very pertinent topic. The national education policy is about change and using the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, as a springboard in that context. Before I'd like to invite Dr. Ashok Pandey, let me quickly just give you a brief overview about Dr. Pandey. So Dr. Pandey has been listed by the Forbes India among the top 100 people managers. He's a postgraduate in physics from Allahabad University and in consultancy management from BITS Pilani. He spent more than 3 decades in the education vertical, having experience in the CBSE program per se in India and even outside India in the Middle East. Currently, he is the director of the Alcon Group of Schools in Delhi. Dr. Ashok has also been a very successful school principal, an author, a speaker, researcher, and also someone who's extensively traveled, led delegations of principals in different parts of the world. And I think the most interesting part about his entire profile that really appeals to me is his work with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So he's a champion, has created and curated an entire curriculum around how SDGs could be integrated into the daily teaching and learning. In terms of the other roles and responsibilities, Dr. Pandey is the chairperson for the Council of Global Citizenship, a member of the governing board of the CBSE in New Delhi, and also an international member, the National Association of Secondary School Principals. Thank you so much, Dr. Pandey, for joining us this evening, and we're really looking forward to an enlightening session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Hussein, for your very kind introduction. I'm very excited. You know, there are 155 people already in the room, and I just need one person to enthuse me and encourage me if I'm talking somewhere. And now you see here, I have got 158 people already. So you can understand the energy that I'm already bubbling with. And I can see some of my very dear friends, my colleagues, people I have worked with. I think it is like family program. Thank you to you, the Crimson Education, and the great work that all of you are doing. And this festival, I think it is unique in its own way. A festival of learning for 12 days. I think it is amazing. It is a super concept. And I wish all of you the very best. The topic you have suggested is the joining hands of NEP and SDGs, and how both of them pan out and how they will bring change, how they will, catalyze new education. I think these are some of my thoughts which I'm going to share. But I must tell you that if participants are not with me, and if they do not keep telling me every 10 minutes that they are there in the room, then probably I'll not be able to move forward. Because 40-45 minutes is a long time to just talk and not getting any response from anyone. So here I am. I think right at the beginning only I want to test, since I am a physics student, I have taught science all my life. I will use a barometer to check people's presence, people's emotions, people's thoughts. So all of you, please, if you are in the room, can you go to the chat box? You can see on the right-hand side, you click chat, and then you will find some people have already written good morning and good afternoon or something like that. And I want all 155 or more people just to write one word describing their mood right now, depending upon your experience today. So here I go, I am excited. So that is my description. Hussein?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you tell me why I'm not able to write in the chat box?
You should be able to write. Just give me a second. Yeah, it's all the options are enabled. You should be able to type in, because I'm seeing all the participants are posting things.
Yeah, all of them are posting. So anyway, excited. It was good, curious, eager to learn, anticipating and curious, explorer. I think wonderful descriptions are coming in. Eagerly waiting, exciting to learn. I'm interested to learn, ready to learn. Good evening, waiting with you. Lot of enthusiasm. Receptive, very nice. Happy. Looking forward. Great, but I think some of you have to write more, because only 10 to 12 new things have come. Rest of them are being repeated. Super interesting, looking forward. Waiting forward for an interactive session. So this is the first interaction that we have begun. My interesting area is SDG. Oh, lovely. I think you will have to help me a lot when I come to that topic. Keen, curious, calm and clear to absorb new techniques. Oh, lovely. Wonderful webinar, learning movie. Okay, ready to learn something new, interesting for learning. Great. So thank you very much. Please keep writing. I will read it. And Hussein, are you ready with poll 1?
Yes, Dr. Pandey. So we have, those, I can launch the poll, and after the first question, we can close it again.
Yes, please do that. So let's have another interactive activity. Mr. Hussein is going to launch a poll. You have to give your options.
Participants, request you only to answer the first option for the time being. Thank you.
Only the first one. 2 polls are on the screen, but you respond to the first one. NEP 2020 is about what, according to you? There is no right and wrong answer, please, I may clarify. It is your choice, and we want to see the percentage. That will be very interesting to learn. So people are voting, because I can't see here.
Yeah, neither can I see it. It's showing 0 itself.
Yeah.
I think they will need to probably vote for all 4. Just give me a second.
We are not able to submit with one option.
Yes, I think, yeah, that's the issue. We're not able to do it with one option.
Okay, so can you make it multiple options? Do you have that option? Otherwise, you leave it, no problem.
I think what we could do, Dr. Pandey, is, we can just ask them to answer all the 4 questions. And then probably I'll just create another poll, while you continue for the other questions.
So just fine. Let me share my screen. I go ahead, and in the meantime, you can see that. No problem. Absolutely fine. So
yes, I think, yeah, the votes are coming in, Dr. Pandey, now. I think now, once they answer all the questions, I think the way the poll is created, you need to answer all 4 questions. So it's interesting, the answers are coming in. I'll just we'll wait for a couple of minutes, and then I'll share the results of the poll.
Okay.
And you could then just discuss it and then go ahead.
Fine. Some people are writing in the chat box also their options.
Yes.
That's very nice. It gives me some idea.
Friends, we'll close the poll in another,
5 seconds at the most.
Yes.
You close the poll, and if you can show the result, it's fine. Otherwise,
yes, I'll share the results. Yes.
Oh, lovely. So transforming education, 84%, enhancing enrollment, 10%, early childhood, 21%, human capital formation, 7%. And in the second one, most critical reform envisaged in NEP, the highest has gone to mother tongue as medium of instruction. Oh, that's very instructive. I will carry this poll result for my future webinars. So that's fine. You can stop this result now, and I'm sharing my screen. Okay, Hussein?
Yes, Dr. Pandey, you can go ahead.
That's fine. That's fine. Great. So here I am. All right, fine. All right, poll one is over. So I'm coming here, ladies and gentlemen. This is just a thought on NEP. So this is my personal experience, been in teaching for a very, very long time. And during my tenure, two things have been very, very clear in my mind. That what is the importance of education for those who have access to it, and what does it mean to some people who do not have access to education. And I think it is this gap which is very glaring, and the entire society must try and bridge this gap. That is the defining thing that all of you have to understand. And NEP is an attempt to address the issue and promise to the nation that equity and excellence is a cornerstone of success and sustainability of our society. Until every child, anywhere in any nook and corner of India, has been denied the access and affordability and good school, good education, I think as a society, we cannot think of sustaining and succeeding. So national education policy, or for that matter, education policy for any country, is that document and vision which ensures equity and excellence for every child. So that is the primary purpose of any education policy. And what does this policy say? I'm not going into the details. The policy was announced on 29th of July, and today we are talking, so late in February. I think the lot of details are known to each one of you, and therefore some of the very rudimentary things or familiar things I will just skip over, and I will only take some of the creamy things out of it, which becomes very, very relevant to each one of us here in the room. So the vital aspect of 2020 NEP is, you may be aware that most of the schools in the country, they begin from class 1. Some private schools, they begin with nursery. We have play schools available only for a small segment of the society. But if you talk of by and large, children between 3 to 6 are not included in the formal education and mainstream education. And as per the 2011 census, their number is 200 million. So just imagine this massive number just does not have any access to education. So this is the vital aspect. So it is a precursor to preparing for life, precursor for preparing for school, and therefore this particular vision of NEP 20 is something which is very, very close to my heart. What are the other things which are very important in my opinion? This is a futuristic policy. It is going to help us realize 21st century learning, and which I'm calling as excellence for every child. So equity. Every child, the foundation years to the lifelong learning. It is not finite in the sense that the school education or college education or university education. I think it goes much beyond that. And therefore, school, college, beyond, and I have written here SDG goal 4, but I'll come to that a little later. The third one is within the country and across the globe. So for the first time, there is a very, very clear categorical mention in the policy that we have to produce global citizens. Now, what is the context of this global citizenship? Also, I'll take it up as we move forward. And therefore, if you go to the first point, equity and excellence, and then from childhood to lifelong learning, then from local to global, that is what the success and sustainability is. And therefore, if I have to give a caption, this very nicely written, beautiful document, NEP 20, and like we did in school, a paragraph was given, and we had to write a very nice caption. So my caption for NEP 2020 is success and sustainability for the society is a function of equity and excellence for everybody. So the caption will not be such long. It is the explanation of that particular caption. Success and sustainability of the society will depend upon equity and excellence for everybody. So that these are the 4 foundational pillars of NEP, in my opinion. Poll 2 has already been done, and therefore I'm moving forward. In this particular aspect, I'm going to explain to you, ladies and gentlemen, what are the critical reforms this policy is going to bring. I mean, you must have heard about 1986 policy. You must have heard about the reforms that were brought in 1992. You must be also aware of 2005 and 2010 national curriculum framework. They were all reforms in the education process, but the policy now has come in 2020. So its first critical reform that it will bring in is the foundational, the language and numeracy. So that learning is very, very important. And that, if at all there is a gap, we have to bridge that gap. And that is what the policy envisages, that to addressing the gap of, what has happened, unfortunately, is year after year, we come through the educational surveys, and it has been found that there is a learning gap in the children. So how do we define learning gap? Means if a class 5 child is not able to read and write equivalent to the learning outcome of class 3, it means there is a learning gap. That is what we mean by that. And early childhood care and education, and then the critical reform will come in assessment. Our assessment have been very archaic. They have been punitive in nature. They have not been seen with empathy and compassion. And in any case, the assessment has not been for learning. It has been mostly assessment of learning. And then the national testing will come for the first time at the end of the classes 3, 5, and 8. Some people get confused here that, oh my God, there are 2 examinations are going to happen. No, your examination, your criteria of pass, fail will remain with you. This is a national testing, so that we are able to find out at the national level what are the learning outcomes, what are the learning attainments. And some tests like this have already happened in the past, and we have the data, and it is from that data only we have the disturbing outcome that there is a learning gap which must be bridged. So that reform is also going to come. And of course, I've taken only one point in this reform, which has something to do with the teacher training programs. Our teacher training program, the pre-service program, it does not have much to talk about. It has not painted itself in any glory. And that has been the concern of the policy makers, of educationists, of you yourself. You must have seen, excuse me. And therefore, this B.Ed course is now going to be 4 years. It will be integrated. It will professionalize teaching. It will bring those people who are genuinely interested in teaching as a career, which is not the case right now. And therefore, the country has to make an effort that the best minds come to teaching also. The best minds go anywhere but to teaching at this particular juncture. So that is one of the critical reforms that this policy is talking about. And this is something which I will devote a little more time on this. Howsoever good the policy is, a best policy and a poor execution is failure of the policy. And if the policy is good and the execution is also good, I think that is a formidable combination, and the success is assured. So what do we need for the success of any policy or plan or project? Number one is the policy must be very sound. So I think it's been 4, 5 months, 6 months debate on NEP, and the country at large has accepted this policy as inspirational, as aspirational, and as transformational, which means that everything that has been envisaged in the policy can only point to it being a sound policy and not otherwise. Now, what is the second thing that we have to put into this is the strategies to implement it should be very, very thoughtful. So what are those strategies? So country like India is a federal structure. Education is in the concurrent list. State and center both have equal stake in it, both have equal obligation, and both of them want the country to progress. So what should be the strategy? So I'm just giving an example. One strategy could be that the state and the center, they work in unison, and there is no political rivalry when it comes to education. So that could be one strategy. The second strategy could be that the policy should not suffer due to want of money and funding. So that could be the second thing. The third thing is, which is very, very important, that the policy should not take care of only one segment of the society. And therefore, how do we go about it? And that is why you must have heard, if you took any interest, that in the national budget, which was presented on 1st of February, we are going to start 700 new low budget residential schools in the tribal areas. Now, what does it mean in terms of policy? In terms of policy, it means is that we are taking educational access to those areas where the children are deprived largely. So that is what I mean by thoughtful strategies. And the third thing, which is very important, is that it's operationalization. So you have strategies, but actually it is happening or not, that is something very, very important. So to every block, to every district, to every village, every town in the country, do people know what NEP is? What are the visions of NEP? What does it mean in terms of change? How the teacher should be prepared? How our classroom should look like? I think that I have given the name artful operationalization. So if our operational part is hazy, it's ad hoc, people are not involved in it, then both the sound policy and thoughtful strategies will fail. That's what I mean here. And the fourth thing, of course, is if you are doing a large project, and if you are doing a project at the level of a country like ours with 135 crore people, I think we have to set our milestones very clearly. And we must give a pause at each milestone, whether we have achieved it. If we have achieved it, it is in time or it has overshot the time. Review the difficulties and then make the necessary changes. So these are the 4 stages in which this policy can be implemented. And if these things are kept in mind and will be kept in mind, I can assure you that the NEP is through. So the caption, as Mr. Hussain said, NEP is for change. So what is the change? Some of the critical reforms, some of the changes I have already mentioned, but I'm just bringing 5 points or 5 areas in which the changes have to come as quickly as possible. Now, with some hesitation, let me tell you, the defining nature of our education system has been that we have learned ourselves to pass an examination, and then we have taught others to pass an examination. And year after year, generation after generation, we have perpetuated this examination passing education system. But I think that has to change. And if that has to change, then what has to come in? What has to come in is that if the children have to learn and if they have to understand things, then we have to bring in discussion, questioning, inquiry, reflection, experiment, hands-on learning, because any knowledge, is assured only when it is experienced. You do whatever you like, but if you do not experience it, if you do not live it, I think that knowledge will not go to the right place. So that is the concept in which this NEP is talking about, the changes that it will bring. The second change it envisages is that the examination or the education is not only about cognitive development. It is about socio-emotional development. It is about character development. It is about making people humane. It is about making people caring. It is about making people sensitive to the needs of others. So that is the second change which is going to come. But those changes will happen. For that, there are certain conditionalities. The one conditionality is that the teachers have to imbue themselves with new skills and new art and science of teaching. And instead of just passing on information, they have to become co-learners themselves. The learner cannot be treated anymore as consumer of information and reproducing that information. I think they have to develop love for learning. They have to be the problem solvers. We just cannot have our classes, one size fit all, and with no regard to diversity, with no regard to inclusion, with no regard to the differential background, the cognition, the language, the other factors that influence learning outcomes. We have to take care of that. We just cannot go to the classroom with 40 children and do the same thing for all of them all the time, and then judge them externally on the basis of some assessment system that we develop. And that is why the assessment system is going to change. And assessment will become learning for learning. It will be full of compassion. It will have to open itself up to a lot of flexibility and the manner in which the assessment can take place. So that will be the nature of the classroom. Pedagogy has to change. Our pedagogy just cannot be a lecture or a one-way passage of information. No, it has to be changing from transactional to inspirational. It has to be self-developing. It has to be integrative. It has to be inquiry-based. It has to be where learners find relevance to what is happening in the classroom to their daily life experiences. So that is the change in pedagogy. And of course, the education has to be repurposed. As I said in the beginning, from examination to preparing for life. So it is not a degree acquisition exercise. It is preparing for life itself. And that is why I said from foundational years to lifelong learning is the transformation that is going to happen through this educational policy. So these are some of my thoughts. I gave you where the policy comes from. I told you what are the critical factors which have been taken care of, how it is going to prepare us for future, and what are the mind shifts that this policy is demanding everybody who cares for education. So this is in short, and for that, and our ultimate purpose is that we want our children to succeed. We want them to do well for themselves, for their families, societies. And for that, I think two things are very important. And this policy is going to bring about a synergy of the two, that all of us have to have a deeper purpose of education. So repurposing education. And what are our main drivers? What do we think drives us to educate all our children? So that is one set of thought process. And the second is that how we are going to implement the purpose that we have redefined, how we are going to make our drivers work. So for that, we need strategies. We need a proper execution. And when these two things get their optimal synergy, I think the children will succeed and move towards life with a lot of hope, optimism, and joy. That is the basic purpose of education is. So with these, Hussein, I think it is time to give 1 minute break. And if you are ready, we can give poll 3. Otherwise, you just tell me, I will move forward.
So Dr. Pandey, do you want me to share the results of poll 3?
Yes, yes, so that I can also have a look at it.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. This is the first one, which has already happened. The second one.
If you can just scroll down, if you scroll down, you'll be able to see the third and the fourth one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. I'm just having a look at it. All right. So here, envisioned by the, this is about sustainable developmental goals. So I think people have mentioned it, that it is standard of living. Then the purpose of education, everybody is talking about. 1 minute, I think this. 1 second, yeah. And then the purpose of education is character building and human fly. Oh, that's wonderful. Great. So thank you, Hussein.
Thank you, Dr. Pandey. Yes.
Okay, so what I'm doing, Hussein, is that I'm stopping my screen.
Yes.
Right. And I want to look at the faces of the people with whom I'm here, so that I know I'm here. And now I'm going to request all of them to write in the chat box, what are your thoughts about education and NEP and its implementation and its strategies? Just write so that I can capture something from this particular program. So please write in the chat box, what do you think is NEP? What are your expectations? Feel free, speak your mind. Yeah, let me see. So I think chat box is not enabled because people are not writing. Yeah, holistic development of child. Okay, equity and excellence, Madhu GS. Inclusive education, Savita. Teacher needs to be facilitator. Excellent. Sustainable, very positive, hopeful, visionary policy. Breaking away from traditional approach. NEP is drastically transformation. Oh, wonderful. Local to global through vocational. Yeah, make a good citizen. NEP has brought focus on early child education, which was ignored. Very nice. I agree with you, Mr. Rajesh Kumar. Hussein is writing focus on skill development, 360-degree assessment, implementation. Oh, wonderful. So all of you are NEP experts. And I think all of you should write 300, 400 words about NEP and send it to the Minister of Education that this is what I think NEP is. Thank the minister, he'll be very happy. And then you give your suggestion also that here is my suggestion. I just want to share with you, it is not a secret. It was already announced in the budget on 1st of February that government is going to select 15,000 schools across the country. And they will be the model schools of NEP implementation. And at these model schools, the pilot of implementation will take place, and then it will extend from there. And I think everybody in this room should be one of those pilot schools, whichever school you belong to. So I'm very, very happy and very, very enthusiastic about it. So thank you very much for your participation in this discussion. It is the best way to inculcate skills, learning with creativity, development, assessment, skill. Excellent, fine, great. So Hussein?
Ashokji, since everyone is able to unmute themselves, right?
Yes.
You've given that privilege. So if there are any questions from them, which they want to directly ask.
Yeah, so
I can see Brigadier Sushil Basin. Okay, it's not yet over. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. It was a break without tea. Okay, so maybe just 10 minutes more. Yeah. So let me play a video for you here.
Most determined
to fight injustice and inequalities.
The generation that saves the planet from climate change.
And this is how it will get done. The global goals.
a 15-year plan
For everyone. Everywhere.
with no one left behind.
We will live in a world
Where nobody
anywhere lives in extreme poverty.
Where no one
goes hungry.
where no one
Wakes in the morning.
Asking if there will be food today.
we will live in a world where no child has to die.
Diseases we know how to cure.
And where proper health care
is a lifelong right for us all.
We will live in a world
Where everyone
goes to school. And education gives us the knowledge
and skills
for a fulfilling life.
We will live in a world where all girls and all women have equal opportunities
To thrive and be powerful
and safe.
We cannot succeed if half the world is handbag.
We will live in a world
where all people can get clean water
and proper toilets
at home, at school, and at work.
We will live in a world where there's sustainable energy for everyone.
Heat, light,
and power for the whole planet.
Without destroying the planet.
We will live in a world where economies prosper.
A new wealth
lead to decent jobs
For everyone.
And we will live in a world
where our industry,
our infrastructure and our
best innovations
Are not just used to make money, but to make all our lives better.
we will live in a world
where prejudices and extremes of inequality
are defeated
inside our countries
and between different countries.
where people live in cities and communities
that are safe, where
What we take out of the earth.
We live in a world that is decisively rolling back the threat of climate change.
Where we restore and protect the life in our oceans and seas.
restore and protect
life on land,
The forests,
animals,
The earth itself.
With peace between and inside countries.
Where all governments are open.
An answer to us for what they do at home and abroad.
And the justice rules.
with everyone equal before the law.
where all countries and we their people
Work together.
Partnerships of all kinds.
To make these goals a reality.
These are the United Nations global goals
for sustainable development.
Let's get to work.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah. Okay. So can anybody unmute herself or himself and tell what was it? Anyone? What was it?
It was completely the Sustainable Development Goals, sir. All the 17 agenda for 2030. Sorry.
Very good. So was education there anywhere, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Where was it?
So
Just a
I
second.
think it was, yes. And if I can say it this way, I guess it was everywhere.
Oh, yes. I was waiting for this answer. I was waiting for this answer. It formally sits at number 4.
Goal
in
4.
very clear terms.
Yeah.
But you are very right, Swati ma'am, that it sits everywhere. Without that, nothing is possible. Yeah. Anyone else? Any other comment for 30 seconds before I move? Just 30 seconds comment. Quick. No one?
Imperative for everybody to follow, sir. We cannot
Everybody
do
should
without
follow
knowing
it.
and understanding and integrating them into education.
Very good. Excellent. So let me see how we follow it. So I'm just coming back to my presentation. One second. Just a second, please. Hussain, just give me a second, please.
Yes, no problem.
Just
in fact, Dr. Pandey, some participants have requested for the link of that YouTube video.
Okay.
So I'll just share it in the meanwhile with them on the chat.
Yeah. You do that. And in the meantime, I'll just share. Yeah. All right.
I think Google slide is taking time to get adapted to Zoom.
I am back now. I think there was.
Yeah, we can see it. Yeah.
Yeah, here you are. So I'm just, You can go through it. These are the 17 goals. I'm sure you have done that. And I would like to tell 2 or 3 things which are very close to my heart. So these 17 goals have not come out of nowhere. They have come out of a very solid philosophy, and they are based on 5 P's, 5 pillars. And those pillars begin with P also. And that is people, planet, prosperity, peace, and partnership. So I think we have to concentrate on everybody. The human development is very important. Taking care of planet is very, very important. And only then can prosperity be ensured. But prosperity without peace is again very, very elusive. And all these 4 P's can stick together only when we come together as partners, as human beings. So these are the 5 P's on which these 17 goals have been enunciated. And these 17 goals have further been given 169 targets. And those 169 targets have got 230 indicators. So you just imagine how beautifully it is designed. So 230 indicators will give evidence to 169 targets. And those targets will give what has happened in these 17 goals. And these 17 goals are based on these 5 P's. So that is the cycle of these sustainable developmental goals. And how do I look at NEP and SDGs? I think NEP, any education system, it needs a springboard. It needs its soul. I consider NEP as an entity which has its body, which has its mind, which has its soul. So the body, when I talk of body of NEP, I'm not talking of the text or the paragraphs or something like that. I'm talking of the toolkit that it gives to all of us to work together. Its body is its thought, its mind is its thought process. So it is thinking about young children, it is thinking about adolescents, it's thinking about college students, it is thinking about dropouts, it is thinking about marginalized, it is thinking about vulnerable class of people, it is thinking about equal excellence for everybody. So that is the mind. But then we need a soul to it. And SDGs provide that soul. After all, let me just go back to it. What purpose of education is served when some people are rich and some people are poor? Some people have got all the luxuries of life and some people have got all the poverties of life. And therefore, the world as a whole, as a community, I think young children right from age 3, when they come to our schools, we have to imbue in them that their success alone is not the success of the society. And it is not the sustainability for the society. Nobody can, work in isolation in today's world. So we need a soul. So when we have everything, I think immediately we should think that who are those who do not have it? And then what can I do to mitigate that situation? And that is why this very carefully chosen 17 goals, they envisage that the soul of our being is that nobody should remain hungry, nobody should remain poor, nobody should suffer because of lack of clean water or energy. There should be no paucity of work. There should be no, living conditions should be very good. I think our oceans must be clean, our air must be clean, the sanitation, the consumption, everything has to be. We have to have very strong institutions. If strong institutions are not there, if rule of law is not there, that what will our richness do? What will our prosperity do? And that is why it is very, very important. So I think I'm trying to build a case for all of you here that is it a bit too much to ask that if any education system has to succeed, it has to work with a soul in it. And here are, instead of sitting down and wasting a lot of time or maybe consuming a lot of time and finding out what that soul is, That soul is already available to us. And that soul is available to us out of a collective thought process of the whole world. Just imagine 192 countries have signed these SDGs, and they signed it on 25th of September 2015. So we are already 5-6 years into it. India has played a very, very big role. India's philosophy, India's culture, India's leadership has been very instrumental in articulating these laws. So that is what I mean, that if NEP is asking for change, I think we should jump onto the bandwagon of these 17 goals, use it as a springboard, and move ahead with a lot of confidence and optimism. That is what I meant. And here is my last presentation, just to give you an idea. Before we open the question answer session, the Indian system and budgeting and financing and GDP, has been distributed into 6 pillars. So what are those pillars? Health and well-being. So health is very important, and it has been only accentuated or revealed, as we call, by the COVID-19 pandemic. The infrastructure is very important. Roads are important. Rail transport is important. Bus transport is important. How much ease of life it brings if a small village is connected to the district headquarters, all of us know. All of us travel across the country, and we know if the roads are not good, how much misery it brings. So it makes people more accessible to goods, to the market. It gives you access to education, and therefore physical and financial capital is very important. Inclusive development and aspirational India. You will be very happy to know that the government of India, they have selected 150 most backward districts in the country, and they have given the name Aspirational India. And in those, the water condition, the sanitation, education, health, economy, well-being, everything was in tatters some time ago. But now all those 150 aspirational districts, the index of improvement is being monitored every 6 months. So inclusive education is very important. And every country in the world is judged by how they are taking care of inclusion, how they are taking care of diversity, how they are reaching out to the people who have been denied access to the amenities of life. So that is the third pillar. The fourth pillar is reinvigorating human capital. And that is where, ladies and gentlemen, our education system comes. Education system, how we reinvigorate it so that we are able to have a fulfilling life. We are able to build character, we are able to build career, we are able to do lifelong learning. We become a human capital for the society. Society benefits from us after we have taken all the benefits from the society. Innovation and R&D is very, very important, does not need much elaboration. And of course, the strong institutions will come, and that has been given the name minimum government and maximum governance. So digitization, making things easier for us, making things transparent, making the elected government accountable. I think that is also very, very important. So you see what we have done here is the education system, as Madam said, that education sits everywhere. Here it sits directly in the pillar 4, but I think education only will make health very good. I think somebody wants me to finish it very fast, and they're scratching on my board, but that doesn't matter. So health and well-being, if you see goal number 3, 6, 7, 13, 14, and 15, we have put into health and well-being. So if we had to ensure health and well-being, we have to work on those 6 goals. Physical infrastructure, I have put goal number 8, 11, and 12. So if we have to revitalize it, we will have to work on those 3 goals. And similarly, inclusive development 1 to 10. And of course, the human capital, goal number 4 and 5. Innovation is goal number 9. And the last pillar is goal number 16 and 17. So this is the a kind of redistribution of these goals and targets under these 6 pillars. And I think as educationists, we have to develop an insight into it so that we understand it, our children understand it, and we use education as a vehicle, as an instrument to build communities, to build societies, and develop that kind of sympathy and sensitization in our young children, so that we can live together in peace and in prosperity. So that is what I meant by, if NEP is change, SDG is a springboard. So thank you very much for listening to me so patiently. It is we have around 15 minutes, Hussein, I believe, for question and answer, and I'm open to it. Please shoot your questions. Thank you very much for listening to me. Big hand to all of you.
May I?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so
yes,
Francis, you can moderate it.
Yeah, please. I'm sorry, Hussein. I'm
yeah, no worries.
That's your role, but it's fine. I just wanted to have Brigadier Sushil Basin is there. I just wanted to acknowledge his presence. And
good evening, Brigadier Sushil. Good evening to you.
He's also a very strong educator. Believes a lot in experiential learning, and I'm sure he's even if he's muted, you're not muted. You can always unmute.
No, I'm really excited to see that. I'll just take 30 seconds to tell you. In 1975, I was doing my young officers course and I was given a topic, education system in India. And I had to speak for 20 minutes. And I remember what I prepared then. After 40 years, I found we were still struggling there. Nothing had happened. And today, when Dr. Pandey is talking about these things, it is so satisfying that at last we have moved in that direction. And if all of us together, and you know what you said, the last pillar, the collaboration, the partnership, I think that's the most important thing. If all of us get together, where is anything to stop us from doing it?
Thank you. Thank you, Brigadier Sushil. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, Swati, you want to share?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, Swati. Yeah, we can hear you, Swati. Go ahead.
Okay. Sir, I just want to know how fast can you do something about, or the government can do something about scrapping this marks system, like children being taxed with how much marks they have to get. When will they start enjoying their lessons just because they enjoy it? Like with that marks factor gone, how soon can we do something about it? Actually.
Swati ma'am, you can do it yesterday.
Yes, sir.
You can do it yesterday.
He wants to hear it twice.
I got it. I got it, sir. I got it. Okay.
So let us not wait for the government to do it. We have to do it. And we have to work. You know, I'll tell you one example. When I became principal some years ago, and we wanted to teach alphabets A, B, C, D, not in that order, but we wanted to teach in the order of ease, you know, so you draw a line, so you do L first or N first or M first. And, you know, the parents were up in arms that why are you spoiling our children, you know? I mean, it is not like that. So I'm just giving you an example. I think we have to take cudgels with having a good fight, right? And good fight is something which will bring change. Waiting for somebody to do it will not bring change. Yeah. Yeah, Brigadier Sushil, I think you want to ask something.
I want to say one thing, that in our education system, and particularly when you talked of children below 6 years, I think somewhere I didn't see, or maybe if I missed out that emphasis, the parents have to be roped into the education policy, because I think the most formidable education is imparted by the parents. And I feel in my experience, parents need more education than the children.
I fully agree with you, Brigadier. And this policy has talked about parental engagement. But unfortunately, what has happened is traditionally, you know, in our times, the only role parents played in the school was that if we were beaten up in the school, parents will also beat us up at home, right? So that was their involvement. And today's involvement is that if you even say something little loudly, the parents will complain against that, right? So between these two, I think what has happened is that we have not evolved a strategy to involve parents. We have talked about it, we have done some work on it, and I think we have to develop a model where parents are engaged on a consistent and continuous basis, and they are made the partners in learning.
Yes.
And NEP is talking about it, and we should not, I know schools maybe sometimes they fear that if we involve them too much, they will start interfering, they will start asking questions. But I think this is a bullet, Brigadier Sushil, I'm using your language from the armed forces. This is a bullet we have to bite once, right? That we bring them on board, allow them to ask questions, because ultimately, in the center of both parents and schools are children. And I think both of them love the children. And therefore, things will not go out of control, even if they start asking questions. So there is a case here, and we have very clearly mentioned it. And in the implementation of NEP, a very well-structured program of parental engagement is coming very soon.
Yeah, so you said partnership, I'm saying even accountability somewhere, because parents think, send the child to school, my job is over. And 100% responsibility goes onto the teacher.
No, that is wrong. That is wrong.
In my interventions, I have brought in a lot of emphasis on the partnership between the parents, teachers, and the children.
So,
absolutely.
So what I personally feel that like we, in a school, we call a teacher and a student as a learner, even parent is a learner. So like you make a lesson plan as a teacher for students, I think you should have your lesson plan even made for parents because they also need support. They also need that kind of learning. Hussein, I think Ashok Pandey ji has a next webinar at 5 o'clock.
Yes. One more question we can take. Francis?
Yeah, please.
One more question. One more question.
I think you can just unmute yourself and ask. Yeah, please.
No, I'm unmuted. Huh.
No.
Okay, Hussein.
This is open for everyone except Billy. This offer is only for everyone except Billy Broad.
Yeah.
Except Billy Broad.
Billy Broad, yeah, please.
No, he is not allowed to ask questions. Because we'll take your 15 minutes.
Yes, 15. I think, sir, you will be here only till your next webinar ends.
So I can. Vandana Tiwari. Vandana ma'am, she is a principal of one of our CBSE school in BMC.
Okay.
Vandana ma'am, how are you? देखो नाम लिया जा रहा है देखो आपका नाम any question? See, no one wants to ask you.
So I know
Anju ma'am had a question.
Yeah, Dr. Asha. Yeah, please.
Anju ma'am also had a question.
Sunita also has a question. Yeah. Okay. Dr. Asha first, then Sunita. Yeah.
Yeah. We speak about inclusive education, isn't it?
Yes.
But at the same time, when the meaning of inclusive education is include all children irrespective of any kind of disability they have. But a single teacher has to teach the different kinds of disabilities. How a single teacher can teach when the B.Ed course doesn't have the compilation of all the kind of disabilities? Like how a single teacher can teach all kind of challenged children?
So, so who is disputing this fact that one teacher cannot do it? But if one teacher is being asked to do it, I think that is the handicap or the shortcoming of our system. But we have no quarrel with the philosophy that all children have to be taken care of, right? So I think that the teachers must be, assisted by special education teachers, or there must be education for every teacher to take care of the special children. There must be facilities available. So those are the enablers. But that cannot be the case that the children will be left to fend for themselves. Can we agree to that? I don't think we can agree to that. So while I agree with you, It is humanly not possible for one teacher to take care of everybody. But it is also not human to leave even a single child to fend for himself or herself. I think we have to make a balance between the two.
Exactly. But how like in a whole class we cannot teach like hearing impaired or sensory impaired together. So we need a specially educated teacher for it.
Of course you need it. I said we need it. Absolutely.
So at that point of time,
also the environment, also the environment matters a lot, right? I think there are various factors which actually influence. If you have to take all types of children, you have to create that kind of environment and those kind of resources to ensure that it is done. In a regular class, you will have difficulty if you have not set the environment, or if you do not have resources and support. So there is more effort to be taken,
Yeah, Sunita ji, your question. I think you raised your hand for a long time. Yeah.
Sir, Anju ma'am had written one question there, that are teachers specially equipped for the special educators? Because if we want to bring inclusion into our schools, then we have to, a lot of training is required on the school's part and for the teachers. That is what the question was. And only on my side, it will just one thing: how can we bring it more to the level of parental acceptance for the SDGs and NEP together? So, I mean, we are educators sitting here together and just exchanging views. So more of this knowledge has to be spread. So your guidance on that.
Yeah, so you have seminars and webinars like this for parents. You talk to them, you create a bubble of 40 parents, 50 parents, then you take that bubble more expanded, because the whole thing is, we have to make a beginning somewhere, okay? And we should not shy away from taking small steps, howsoever baby nature they may be in. So if you think that, no, 2,000 parents, I cannot do it, therefore I'll not do anything. I think you do it 40 parents and you see how quickly it goes to 400 parents. And that is how things move, right? So thank you very much, Francis.
Absolutely.
I think you have to.
I think, Aruna, if you can quickly ask, because so that we can finish. Yeah, please.
Sir, again, good evening, all of you. There is a question I have, that is, again, it comes back to the marks system, right? You said we can do it yesterday. I totally agree with you. But the next level does not allow this, right? When we are going for admissions into colleges and other places. So again, the marks do play a role. Are we thinking about anything in connecting or bridging the gap between these two places?
Francis,
can I just add one word? The objective of the national education policy is not only to improve schools, is to improve the education system as a whole, right? So it's a larger vision for the whole country as a whole. And I think the stress of marks is probably one of the very, very strongest agenda behind the national education policy, because of that, there is so much, there is almost like parallel mechanisms, and that sickness of marks has created so much pandemics within the whole system. So I think the larger goal is there, right? If you read through it, you'll understand. But, and it is to change the whole system. Till the time, even if you in a school level, you try to make changes, unless the system doesn't change, nothing would change. So I think the government is very, very clear. They are trying to change the system as a whole, but we have to be active part in it, right? So that we support and we help in changing the system. They can't do on their own because children are with us.
Exactly.
So I think we have an ownership, right? Pandey, I think I just...
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think you have answered it beautifully. And only one thing I can add, Aruna ji, that forward integration that you talked about is very much on card. And this point has been raised at various levels, that if you do any reform at the level of school and you do not do the similar matching reform at the college level, it will serve no purpose. So the policy makers and implementers are very, very conscious of it. This is one thing. And the second thing is, at the school level, if all of us start talking in the holistic development thing, then all the children will go to the college with holistically developed, right? So whatever system they define, I think they will be forced to redefine their admission processes. Like the universities
maybe sir, small thoughts that I'm having. Maybe we have like, credit system to our school students.
That is
right,
going
that
to
they
happen
are good
very
in this,
soon.
they are good in this,
It's
they
all
are good in
planned.
this.
I think it's all planned.
Very optimistic about it.
So, Hussein,
thank you very much, Francis.
Hussein, please.
Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Pandey. I was actually just busy responding to all the attendance queries on chat, so I was not able to really participate. But I'm sure we'll have many more opportunities in the future. So thank you, Dr. Pandey, for a enlightening session as always. Always something to take back, listening to you. And I'm sure this would be the beginning of many more sessions, because the NEP and even SDGs is not something which you can cover in 45 minutes. So I'm really looking forward to a lot more sessions from you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank all of you.
Thank you.
Big claps
Thank
to
you,
all
sir.
of you.
Thank you so much.
Very much.
About tomorrow?
Yes.
God bless you.
So friends, I'm just sharing with you. So this is the feedback form that a lot of you all were asking questions. Can you please request everyone to remain muted? So this is the feedback form. I've just opened this on my system. Now, some of you had a query that you were not able to fill in yesterday's. Yesterday's feedback form closes. So every day's attendance closes at 6 p.m. So yesterday's attendance sheet closed at 6 p.m. So for today, what you can do, you can mark your sheet, complete the sheet, and in the last question, which is any suggestion for improvement, you can, if you have any suggestions, and you can also add that you were present for the session on 8th of February. So this will help us in collating our records and issuing the certificate to the participants. I would also wanted to share our session for tomorrow. So tomorrow's session will be led by Ms. Tasneem. She is the foundational years expert at Crimson, and she'll be talking about teaching strategies in the early and the elementary years. So request all principals who are with us, do encourage your teachers in the early years section, your coordinators, to definitely join in. Like today, we will start at 4 p.m. sharp. I request you to come in by around 3:45 to 3:50 p.m. Thank you so much. Stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.
Hussein, Shilpa has a question. I don't know whether it's relevant, but I think Shilpa, you want to ask? I don't want to leave unanswered.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Sir, good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, my question is regarding the B.Ed course, sir. This is about the critical. You had shared a slide actually.
Okay.
So according to the slide, the slide says that B.Ed integrated B.Ed course.
Yes.
And that goes up to that is for 4 years. We already we are aware that previously it was just for 1 year, and now they have made it. Now it is extended to 2 years, and the NEP policy is going to actually make it 4 years. Correct, sir?
So it is already, the integrated is already launched. I mean, you might not know, it is not for waiting for the NEP. It is already launched since last year. And the integration is happening. So you do a BCom B.Ed, you do a BSc B.Ed. I think this is more in line with how the world does a 4-year teacher qualification. So I think the NEP only wants to align it to the international standards. And I think that's the purpose behind it.
Oh, okay, sir.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you,
sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, good evening, sir. Sir, link is same for tomorrow.
Yeah. Every day the link is same.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anita, for that question. So participants, the link for all the sessions, all the remaining 10 days will be the same, the Zoom link to join the Learning Festival. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Attendance link, where is the attendance link, sir?
In the chat
shared
box.
it in the chat box.
In the chat box is there. 5 times already mentioned there, sir.
I also sent.
Yes. Yeah. My colleague Anna has just shared the link once again. In case any of you all have missed it out, it's in the chat box. The attendance for today.
So yesterday, can you send me that feedback link, sir?
No, yesterday's, as we said, that link expires at 6 p.m. So you will need to just fill in for today. And in the last question, just mention that you were there for the session yesterday.
Yeah, okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay.